Welcome to the Friday Night Campfire Stories. My name is Rob and I will be your host for this evening. If you're new here, I'm a short story writer, and every single Friday we experience one chapter from one of my short stories. However, we try to keep our weeks as creepy as possible here on the channel. That's why we make 3 videos every single week. And every single Monday, we look into the haunted history of some of the most paranormal locations the United States and the world has to offer. This week will be no different. So let's get into a deep dive and look into the history of one of Utah's most haunted locations. This is Echoes of the Past. Nestled on Capitol Hill in Salt Lake City, Utah, the McCune Mansion stands as a testament to opulence, history, and mystery. Built in the turn of the 20th century, the architectural marvel has seen grandeur, artistry, and perhaps even the otherworldly. Welcome to Echoes of the Past. Today we uncover the secrets and hauntings of the McCune Mansion. From its origins as the home of an industrial tycoon to the reputation as one of Utah's most haunted locations, this mansion has stories to tell. Let's step inside to explore. The McCune Mansion was built between 1898 and 1901 for Alfred McCune and his wife Elizabeth. Designed by architect S.C. Dallas, the mansion spared no expense. Exotic materials like mahogany from South Africa, English oak, and Dutch tiles adorned its 21 rooms, costing over $1 million, a staggering sum at the time and the first $1 million house in Utah. The mansion became a symbol for wealth and sophistication. After the McCune family donated the mansion to the LDS Church in 1920, it served various purposes: a music school, a university center, and even a dance school. But with its age and storied history came whispers of the unexplained. Let's look into some of these hauntings as well as what could be causing these hauntings to take place. The McCune Mansion is widely regarded as one of the most haunted locations in Utah. Visitors and staff have reported cold spots, unexplained music, and objects moving on their own. But its most famous tale is one of a little girl in white. One electrician even reported seeing a girl emerge from a mirror. Her sudden appearance was so unsettling that he never returned to finish the work. Witnesses have seen a young girl dressed in white dancing in the ballroom or stepping out of the mirror. She said to survey the room before disappearing back into the glass. This led me to do a lot of research to try to figure out who this little girl could be. So let's look into those theories now. The first theory is that it could have been a child of Alfred and Elizabeth McCune. They had 9 children over their lifespan. So it came naturally to me that it must have been one of the children who was the little girl in white. Or at least it's what I thought. I thought it could be that easy and the case could just be closed. However, I don't think it's as obvious as I thought it was. The McCune Mansion was finished in 1901, and Alfred would have been in his early 50s and Elizabeth would have been around the 50-year-old mark as well. Their children were almost all born well before they moved into the mansion. The only 2 that would have still been moderately young at the time when they moved in was Matthew, who would have been around 11 or 12, and their daughter Elizabeth, who would have been around 10. The youngest girl before Elizabeth would have been Charlotte, who was around 17 to 18 years old. So she would have never really gotten to experience the ballroom in the house as a young girl. It is possible that it was Elizabeth, but it leads me to say that it probably wasn't because she died in 1967 around the age of 66. It's not likely that she would have came back as a little girl in the ballroom, but it is still a possibility. My other theory is that it could be a traveling spirit. Multiple eyewitness accounts state that the girl had appeared from out of a mirror outside of the ballroom. There have been a lot of paranormal researchers that state that spirits can move using mirrors, using them as portals. I think there's a possibility that the spirit could be coming out of the mirror, but it could be coming from a completely different place, city, or state, or maybe even another country entirely that just loves dancing, and the McCune Mansion could just be one of her favorite places to travel. The final theory I have about the little girl in white is that it could be a former student. In 1920, the McCune family donated the house to the Latter-day Saints Church. And then eventually it became a school for music and art in 1957. This seems to be the best reason for who the little girl in white is. She is seen to haunt the ballroom and keeps a watchful eye over it. It could have been one of the former students of the school. Then we also found out that after it became a school for music and art, it became part of BYU's Salt Lake campus. Then after that, it housed Virginia Tanner's modern dance school, which again, makes the most sense to me. It stayed as the dance school until it had to be closed down in 1972, needing major restorations done. This led me to try to find the death of a little girl that happened sometime between 1957, for when the art and music school started, and then also before 1972, before the Virginia Tanner Modern Dance School had to relocate. I looked in a nearby cemetery, and I found the one that was 1.5 miles away, the Salt Lake City Cemetery. So I've done this once before in trying to find deaths that happened in a nearby cemetery, trying to find some clues about why this could be happening. I did this with the Farrar Elementary School, my very first episode of Echoes of the Past. However, that cemetery hosted like 200 graves. The Salt Lake City Cemetery is right in the middle of Salt Lake City. It's a block away from the Capitol, and that graveyard hosts over 100,000 graves. So even putting a filter on the times that I'm looking at, it still has 61 pages of graves that I'd have to go through, and even then there's no telling who actually went to that dance school or the art and music school. So this is a little bit more treacherous than I would have thought, but if I did have one guess though, I would venture to say that the little girl in white is a former student from either the art and music school, but more than likely the Virginia Tanner Modern Dance School. It could just be a young girl who tragically lost her life at a young age and continues to show up for dance class and pursue her passion. The other ghosts in the McCune Mansion are the woman in the kitchen. Guests often hear drawers opening and closing and pots and pans clinking. Apparently this has been pretty well discovered though, that the spirit belongs to Elizabeth McCune, the wife of Alfred, whose spirit still just happens to reside in the house that she lived in for almost 2 decades. There's also a man who appears, especially for big occasions and events. Visitors report seeing an elderly man dressed in evening clothing. To me, this would most likely be Alfred, but no one has really said anything about it being him. But I think that would be what makes the most sense. I don't know anybody else that would have lived in that location or have a tie to that location that was an elderly person. Now I want to look at what could be causing these hauntings. First off is just the McCune family. It's the most obvious choice. It's who the mansion's named after and the first residents of the location. They lived there for almost 2 decades, and some of the kids spent their entire childhood in that house. There was one McCune child that had passed away during their residence of the mansion. It was Earl McCune, who died in 1906. I thought it was possible that he could have been one of the spirits, and he still could be, I suppose, but it's important to note that when I did my research, I found out that he did not die in the house. He actually died in New York. I believe from pneumonia. I couldn't really read what the death certificate had said. It just really weird cursive. It started with a PN, so I assume it was pneumonia, but it could have been something else. But however, I'm glad that I did click on his Find a Grave profile though, because there is one important thing to note, that Earl had a child named Frank. Frank unfortunately passed away at the age of 3 in 1902. He did pass away in Salt Lake City, and although I don't know if I'd ever be able to find out if he died in the mansion or not, or if they possibly just died in their own home, or where he passed away at, it is quite possible that Frank's young spirit could be walking around the halls, possibly playing from time to time with the little girl in white. I will say it is important to note that there has not been any report of a young boy spirit there, but it could still be causing some of the haunted energy in the McCune Mansion. The second theory of what could be causing the hauntings is possessions. The mansion housed numerous antiques and artwork. Some theories suggest that the spirits or entity can attach to these such objects, potentially contributing to the haunted experiences reported by visitors. The final theory of what could be causing the hauntings that I came up with myself, I haven't seen anybody talking about it, but to me, I think it was important to note the house could just be haunted itself. Well, maybe not the house, but the materials that was used to build the home. Earlier we talked about S.C. Dallas, who was the architect for the mansion, and how he was inspired to create a Gothic-style mansion using different housing techniques from all around the world. He used exotic materials such as mahogany from San Domingo, oak from England, a rare white-grained mahogany from South Africa, red roof tiles imported from Netherlands, and the walls were embellished with silks, tapestries, and Russian leather. Could it be possible that all these materials that were brought from all these different places could be bringing spiritual energy with them when they made the trip to the United States? It sounds a little far-fetched, but to me, it kind of just does make sense. The McCune Mansion is one of the most haunted locations in Utah and sits right in the middle of the capital, Salt Lake City. It showcases a wonderful array of architecture and classic charm, but houses some spirits that don't seem to be mean or evil, just looking to coexist with whoever is there with them. Have you ever been to this location, and have you had any experiences? Let me know in the comment section below. That is going to do it for today. I hope that you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to click that like button, hit that subscribe button. It'll help me out a lot and mean a lot to me. We make videos 3 times every single week. Every Monday we do an episode of Echoes of the Past, which is what we did today. Every Wednesday we do an episode of Far From Fiction, which is my true crime series. And of course Friday, the namesake of the channel, the Friday Night Campfire Stories, where we experience one chapter from one of my stories. This week is the first Friday of the month. That means that we will be starting a brand new story. I'm very excited to share that with you guys. One of my favorite ones I've written so far. It's one that I've actually thought about for a long time, and actually at one point in my life tried to get it to be made into a movie, but just never really happened, given I had no idea what I was doing as a younger kid. But now you guys will get to experience the story that I've been wanting to tell for so long. So be sure to come back on Friday for that. Again, click that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. As always, thank you for spending a little bit of your day here with me.